Meeting in order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heidi, please note that all board members are in attendance. At this time, board members, please note if you have a conflict of interest on any agenda or non-agenda items. Hearing none, we'll move on to seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Lore.
Second.
Second by Rossman. Heidi will now present the financial report.
Thank you. In the taxing funds of general capital outlay and special education, the first major portion of the 2023 taxes payable in 2024 were received, totaling just over $10 million. In the general fund, federal revenue in the amount of $503,000 was received and is related to title funding and ESSER supports. The ending fund balance of $10.3 million is above that of the previous year. Capital outlay expenditures included a $600,000 budgeted transfer out to the general fund, with notation that the fund balance of $9.1 million is above that of the previous year and will be used to support the payments related to phase 2 of the athletic complex project. Special ed received federal revenue in the amount of $383,000 and is related to IDEA Part B. The cash balance of $2.9 million in this fund is maintained over the prior year. K through 12 nutrition reported an ending cash balance of $273,000 and is below that of the previous year. Expenditures that previously were shifted to the nutrition fund will be moved back to their original operation in order to better align the fund with the revenue source. Lunch and breakfast prices will be adjusted to the program and established at the July organizational meeting. Please note that we ended the year with just over $9,000 in negative lunch balance accounts. We also did receive an anonymous donor that covered a majority of that payment. Lake Area Tech received several different revenue sources related to the operation of the summer semester. State revenue sources was received in the amount of $2.8 million and is related to fourth quarter state aid, AEL reimbursements, and CTSO Center Grant Fund operations. The revenue exceeded the expenditures for the month of May, and the $10.3 million cash balance is above that of the previous year due to the fluctuations in construction in progress. In the financial aid fund for Lake Area Tech, $69,850 was paid out to liquidate the Federal Perkins Financial Loan Program. This payout resulted in a lowered cash on hand balance at month end of $18,000. The Employee Benefit Trust paid out $936,000 in claims for the month of May. High cost claims are currently working through the system, and in upcoming months, reinsurance reimbursements will reflect as a revenue source to assist in offsetting the high costs. The fund ended the month at $3.5 million cash balance. I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Mrs. Clausen, driver's ed, we have a good number in there this year?
Correct. However, we have not paid out the instructors or any of the supplies related to that program. So that cash balance that's noted in there is still to pay for the operation over the summer months.
Okay. You don't happen to know if we got everybody in? We didn't have any that couldn't get in.
Are you aware?
We ended up with, I think the most we've ever had, I think 180 kids maybe or something like that.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
added some instructor. He didn't say if students were turned away or not. I didn't hear.
Okay,
I
thanks.
think we would have heard about that. I
Yeah.
feel like the no news is good news on that.
In the athletic field, are we on, with the wind and the rain, are we on task over there?
Yeah, we currently are on task. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. We'll now move into the student staff recognition portion.
Yeah, thanks. We had, with our state events just wrapping up, we had some late notifications here, so I know we have some golfers here, and then I'm going to read some of the other spring activities, and then we'll see if maybe they want to come in July. So we've got golf awards. First off, congratulations, we have state champions in Class AA girls golf here tonight, so appreciate them taking some time tonight. So I'm going to start with the academic all-state. We had 3 girls golfers get academic all-state. So if you would come up when I call your name, we'll have a certificate for you. And then when I get the group of 3, we'll have you stand here and kind of turn and look at the camera so we can get you on. And if anybody wants to take a picture, they can do that now. So, Academic All-State, Aspen Reynolds, Shelby Pearson, and Avery Palmquist. Hold on.
Let's stand up front there for the
And then kind of mug for the camera there a little bit. Very good. Then we have our girls' state champions, Coach Corey Neal, Kerrigan Klatt, Shelby Pearson, Aspen Reynolds, Avery Palmquist, Gabby Olson, and Natalie Pearson.
Congratulations.
Coach, maybe you or Mr. Voyens know this, but when's the last time someone won boys and girls golf in the same school year?
It's been a few years. It's been done a few times. But
Yeah.
I
I thought maybe I would have heard that just in passing there,
I know
but
a couple of years ago, I think maybe O'Gorman did it.
Okay.
And then back in like the 70s. It's happened
Okay.
quite a few, but
And
not
then-
a lot recently. So.
all right, thanks, congratulations. Also making the all-tournament team were Shelby Pearson and Gabby Olson. So Shelby, come on back up and smile one more time. This is our all-tournament. I didn't want to let you rest. In tennis, and I don't see anybody else here for the other activities, so board members, I don't have your certificates passed out to you. But in tennis, thank you. Making the academic all-state in boys tennis were Evan Meester, Curtis Sneeden, Justin Remmers, and Austin McBride. At state track, we had two throwers who were won state championships. The girls' state AA discus champion was Malia Kranz, and the boys' state AA shot put champion was Bo Rottershot. And in the second year of sanctioned softball, we had a 7th place finish in the state championships, and making the all-tournament team was Jade Lund. And the South Dakota Softball Coaches Association Assistant Coach of the Year was our very own Katie Strandy. Also in the house tonight, I see we have one of these folks, but another congratulations to all of our retirees. And in person tonight for our congratulations is Mr. Greg DeSpiegler, principal at Lincoln Elementary.
Can I make a comment real quick?
You can make whatever comment you'd like.
Mr. Spiegler, congratulations again. Our paths go way back to when I was in school at Lincoln, and certainly appreciative of you. And I had to tell a joke to Dr. Danielson and others that my son Madden did such a good job the last 2 years, but he unfortunately blew it with 12 minutes to go in your tenure as principal and got sent to the office one last time. But I apologize and appreciative of your service, so thank you.
Congrats.
That it?
That's it.
Okay. All right. So now I will ask for a vote on the consent agenda, please.
Aye.
Yes, all those in favor?
Aye.
Apologies. Opposed? Okay, that consent agenda has been approved. So we will now move into public input on agenda or non-agenda items for Lake Area Tech. Don't see anyone present for that, so we'll move to the summer enrollment on 3.2.
Good evening. Are you able to hear me, Mr. President?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you letting me join online tonight. Hello, everybody from the shores of Lake Michigan. We're here for hockey the next couple of days, and so I'll share my update from Lake Erie and handle the action items that we've got on the agenda tonight. So first up, in terms of an update from campus, summer session started on May 15th, and so we're just a few days away from midterm already. This Wednesday, June 12th, will be midterm, and we've been getting asked a lot if things have slowed down on campus since it's summertime, and while it certainly looks different on campus, it is not slow at all. Currently, we have 627 students who are enrolled in summer classes, largely that's students who are on internship or in our healthcare programs, are on clinical or preceptorship experiences. We also have quite a few gen ed and dual credit students enrolled this semester during the summer. Overall, our academic year, if you consider the fall semester, spring semester, and summer term, are about level with where we've been the last few years, but we did hit a high this summer. That enrollment of 627 students is the largest it's been at least in the last 6 years. And we're seeing some trends in enrollments as we look back over this last academic year, largely in that the number of students who come to campus with a lot of dual credits has increased, and we're also seeing more part-time enrollments. So those part-time enrollments can be from non-traditionally aged students who are coming back to campus and maybe starting a new career path, and so they're taking part-time coursework while they're working or balancing life full-time. And then, of course, if students are coming to us with more dual credits, that means that they have fewer classes to take once they reach campus. And so just kind of an interesting trend that we're seeing as things are shifting and we have more part-time students on campus. Last week, we just wrapped up new student orientations. We had 750 new students and their families on campus. It was a great week. And as we're looking ahead to next fall, enrollments are looking very strong for those first-time students. We'll have one more session of new student orientation that Friday before classes start. So August 23rd will be our next new student orientation, and classes will begin then on August 26th. That's a Monday. We've also been hosting just a variety of trainings and camp experiences over these summer weeks so far. We've had drone camp and diesel camp. Today and tomorrow, the state officers from all of the student organizations like FBLA and FFA are on campus for training. We've had diesel technicians and healthcare workers in for training on our campuses. So just appreciate that partnership with our industry partners that are using our facilities during some of the lower time that we have students in classrooms. And you're probably familiar, but the State Fire School will be in Watertown this week, and so we'll welcome about 500 firefighters to campus in the next couple of days. We love all of that activity on campus, and so it's just been a really good start to our summer months. But I will stand by for questions if anybody has them regarding our summer calendar.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll move into personnel with starting with 4.1.1 with resignations, please.
Very good. And what I'm working through tonight is on your updated blue sheet that came across today. So first in resignations, we have 3 faculty resignations this last month in the Ag, Auto Body and Paint, and Energy programs. We thank those faculty members for their work the last several years on campus and recommend your approval as those are presented.
Is there a motion to approve the resignations?
I make a motion to approve resignations.
Motion by Lohr,
I'll second.
second by Rossman. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resignations have been approved. We'll move to contract recommendations and addendums.
Thank you. In front of you is a variety of contract recommendations and addendums, including full-time staff for next academic year, additional days for faculty who are assisting with the Dakota Dreams career exploration camps later this summer on campus, some additional hours for contracts to finish out the fiscal year, and adjunct contracts for summer term. There's also a few part-time child care workers for EduCare. So I recommend your approval as those are presented.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the contract recommendations and addendums as presented on the blue sheet.
Motioned by Rossman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lohr. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion carries. We'll move to the stipends, please.
Very good. Before you are 5 Lake Area Technical College staff who completed credits towards advanced degrees. These represent the credits that were taken this spring semester of 2024 and recommend your approval as they're presented.
Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the stipends.
Motion by Laura,
Second?
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's been approved. We'll move to the authority to hire, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before you or in your board packet, you'll find a memo with additional detail, but we are seeking more authority to hire an additional instructor position than what we included in the preliminary FY25 budget. This position would be funded through tuition dollars and some state aid. Our enrollments in the dental program are quickly growing. There's a great deal of student interest and excitement about the new facilities and the equipment that are going to be opened this fall. The Commission on Dental Accreditation, or CODA, sets the standards for faculty and student ratios in our dental programs. We need an additional position to help with labs, patient clinicals, and radiography labs. By CODA regulations, they require a 1-to-6 ratio for those types of courses. And our enrollments are looking to fill capacity in the space that we have available next year for dental. We'll need a 4th instructor to ensure that students have quality learning experiences and timely feedback. Later today in the agenda, we'll talk about the future of the dental program next year, so the 24-25 school year. This new instructor position would get familiar with all of the current dental assisting courses in the existing program, and then be able potentially to help with the addition of the dental hygiene option in the future. So we're recommending a 190-day contract. Candidates would need to have a bachelor's degree or higher from an accredited CODA institution. The salary range would be between $55,000 and $82,000, depending on the experience and credentials that the candidate brings with them. We encourage your approval of this new faculty position to start this fall, and I'll stand by for questions.
Are there any questions, or is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the new position.
Motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Laura. Any further questions, comments?
It's a great program to add.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Clearly gaining some traction. We've got our motion, we've got our second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move into property with the consideration of equipment lease agreements.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before you in the packet are 3 lease agreements for equipment at either no cost or low cost. These are for instruction in our heavy equipment operator and diesel programs. There are 2 wheel loaders with buckets that we would receive from TrainSource at low cost leases. One of them would be for 2 months for $2,000 total, and another for 1 month at $1,000. And then through Kibble Equipment, we have a no-cost lease agreement for a tractor for 10 months at a value of $90,000. So between the 3 pieces of equipment, value is at about $580,000. So just really appreciate TransSource and Kibble for their continued support of our students in heavy equipment operator and the diesel program, and for sharing this equipment with us.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the lease agreements for heavy equipment as presented.
Second.
Motion by Moulton, second by Iverson. Any questions, comments? Well, the standard thank you for the
Yeah.
partnerships. Not possible without them, or it'd be very difficult anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you. We've got a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's been approved. Move to 4.2.2 with the consideration of the facility use agreement.
Thank you. So this is a facility lease agreement with the Prairie Lakes Wellness Center. We've worked with the city and the Wellness Center staff to come to an agreement for the next 3 years so that our students have access to, a non-exclusive access to the Wellness Center facilities during regular hours of operation. Beginning in this next year, 24-25, our base agreement price would be $112,965. That all is supported through our student fees. Again, all students on campus have access to those facilities through this agreement. And then each year in the agreement after the base year, we would increase the agreement amount by CPIW, which is an inflationary factor that we use, and that's the same factor that our state aid increases are calculated on in normal years. And really appreciate both the staff at Prairie Lakes Wellness Center and the city for coming to this agreement for our students' benefit.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson.
Second.
Second by Moulton. Questions, comments?
I think this is a great example of a partnership between the city and Lake area. It's a wonderful facility. And I see a number of students up there, and there's room for more.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to the consideration of surplus equipment.
Thank you. In the board packet, you'll find a resolution for a combination of surplus equipment from Lake Area Tech programs, some for disposal and some for sale. The equipment that is for disposal comes from our automotive technology program, physical therapy assistant, cosmetology, diesel, energy, and food service. And then there are some items with remaining value that we would just put up for sale through the surplus process between precision machining and our former high performance engine tooling program. So recommend your approval of that resolution.
Is there a motion?
I move approval of the surplus equipment resolution as presented.
Second.
Motion by Moulton and a second by Iverson. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to the consideration of a new program.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pretty excited to share with you the next two agenda items. The first up is seeking your approval to add an option within our law enforcement program called the Conservation Law Enforcement Certificate. This would allow certified law enforcement officers and graduates of our law enforcement program to complete a summer semester that would add skills and knowledge in wildlife, fisheries, and related laws. So this broadens the opportunity for jobs in state, in tribal, and federal agencies for our law enforcement graduates. We worked closely with the South Dakota Game Fish and Park staff to put this program option together. It is highly hands-on and practicum based, so students will experience scenarios that will go through the context of conservation law enforcement. So they'll be practicing in wildlife, in fisheries, in plant identification in the field. They'll be operating and maintaining equipment used in those positions. And we've had quite a few interested folks in this program. So we anticipate high enrollment and completion, but because it's an area that we don't want to flood the market in, we would cap the cohorts for each summer at 10 to start with. Again, we don't want to flood that market, and we can adjust that if we need to in the future. While we believe that a majority of the completers would go to Game Fish and Parks, again, there would be opportunity within tribal and federal agencies as well. But I think one of the telling pieces here is this is an industry we expect a lot of turnover in staff in the next several years. For Game Fish and Parks alone, 20% of their conservation officers are eligible for retirement in the next 4 years. That's about 27 positions. So for students who are interested in this option, they'd be able to complete the credential for $3,000, just a little less than that, and it significantly shortens the timeline into the job. Currently, many completers or many of those who go into conservation officer field work have to go through a bachelor's program and then go on to the South Dakota Law Enforcement Training Academy for 13 weeks and then complete about 16 weeks of on-the-job training with South Dakota Game Fish and Parks. Because we have worked closely with Game Fish and Parks, they've reviewed our law enforcement officer program already and have helped to create the coursework for this particular program. It would shorten that timeline for students to 2 years plus some training on the job once they are hired on with Game Fish and Parks. So really think this is an efficient path to those positions. We anticipate that our first cohort would start in the summer of 2025. I encourage your support of the new program option, and I'll stand by for any questions that you have.
One question I had, Tiffany, is will this program be covered by existing staff, or will there be the addition of like Game Fish and Parks conservation officers being added to the law enforcement training program just so that that expertise is brought to the table?
That's a great question. I appreciate asking it. So between our law enforcement program instructors and natural resources program instructors, they'll carry the majority of the coursework, but Game Fish and Parks has offered to help adjunct the classes. And a really high value, in addition to all that expertise from people, is that they're willing to share the equipment that students would need to be trained on. And so in the short term, unless this program grows because demand warrants that, we would be able to share equipment like boats or ATVs with Game Fish and Parks for the time that they're needed in the summer months for the instruction in this program. We really appreciate Game Fish and Parks making that opportunity available.
That's great. Thank you.
Very nice.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the new program that's proposed for the Conservation Law Enforcement Certificate.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That program has been approved. And we'll move to the next one with another program proposal with dental hygiene.
Thank you. Another program that we're very excited about bringing to you tonight, we're seeking the board's approval for Lake Erie Technical College to offer a new AAS degree, Associate of Applied Science degree in dental hygiene, and would start this program in the fall of 2025. Offering this program at a technical college would be the first kind of its kind in South Dakota, and it's designed fully in response to a critical shortage in the dental hygienist field in South Dakota. As you know, we've had a long-standing dental assisting program on campus. We offer both a one-year diploma option and a 2-year AAS degree. Dental hygiene would build on that existing base. So after completing the AAS in dental assisting, students could enroll in dental hygiene, and this creates several on and off options for the dental field and an opportunity for current dental assistants to advance their careers with some additional training. It is structured very similarly to our nursing program, where the first level is LPN, second level is RN. And like in the nursing profession, the dental profession allows the same scope of practice whether students complete the AAS or the bachelor's degree. The accreditation requirements are set by CODA. We talked about that a little bit as we looked at the authority to hire that 4th instructor in the dental assisting program. Our intention following the board's approval is to seek articulation agreements with universities so that students could complete their bachelor's degree if they desire. Very similar again to what we do in our nursing area. Following completion of the dental hygiene major, students would have to successfully pass their boards to obtain South Dakota licensure. So that's the entrance into that career field. There is a significant need in our area for dental hygienists. Watertown's a regional hub for dental care, and based on the current projections in this field, Watertown will employ 25% of the state's dental hygienists by the end of the decade, and that doesn't include the demand that we're hearing from central and north central parts of South Dakota. Existing programs currently don't have the capacity in South Dakota to meet the need of patients in dental offices. Our understanding, as we've talked with folks across the state in the dental profession, is that the existing programs, the university program, receives 3 times the applications as it has seats available in the program. So there's a lot of student demand and there's a lot of industry demand for this field right now. It is highly hands-on, and a great degree of patient care is included in the program design. Again, by accreditation standards, students have to have 12 to 16 hours per week of patient care. And so even smaller ratios are required in dental hygiene and in dental assisting. In this case, it's a 1 faculty member to every 5 students for those lab classes to make sure that as patient care is happening, patients are taken care of and students are having a good learning experience. As you're aware, our technical college dental program facilities are currently being remodeled. The design of that facility remodel had in mind both dental assisting and dental hygiene. So we won't need additional square footage in order to offer both of these programs. We'll work to have a cap of 48 students in the dental assisting program and 24 students in the next 4 years in the dental hygiene program. And we'd be able to balance the labs needed for both of those programs between morning sessions and afternoon sessions. This program structure would allow students to complete 2 AAS degrees in 3 years at a cost savings of about 30% compared to taking the program at a university. And so we think there's a ton of upside both for students and for our dental industry partners. I'm going to stand by for any questions that you may have and encourage your support of Lake Area Tech starting a dental hygiene program.
Is there a motion?
I move approval of the new program proposal for dental hygiene.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Iverson. I'll just make the comment, I mean, it's programs like this and the previous one that continue to show why Lake Erie Tech is a front runner as a technical college in a community that's thriving, both being reactive and proactive, getting in front of some of these retirements and reacting to the demand. It's awesome. It's impressive. So thank you.
Concur. Thanks.
Okay, we've got a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has been approved. Thank you very much. Enjoy Michigan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item 5.1. If there's anyone here to speak on agenda or non-agenda items for the public. Doesn't appear so. 5.2 Northeast Tech High School report.
Yes, a reminder that we have our June meeting next week, June 19th, with the the budget presentation at 5:30, followed by the regular meeting at 5:45. So for those board members that are on that, it starts 15 minutes early for the budget presentation next week.
Okay. And we'll move into 5.3 with the strategic plan presentation, please.
Yes, thank you. Board members should have a copy of the updated strategic plan for the staff members and public. There was not one included in the packet. The main reason is we are still cleaning up, making sure that this is the one that will go on the website. So when we kind of finish with tonight, if there are any further comments, we can update that, and then we will put the fully adopted strategic plan on the website. I want to point board members to the inside cover of or the second page. We are proposing a one-word change to our mission statement.
Yeah.
Our current mission statement, enabling all students to succeed in an ever-changing world. We are proposing that along with adoption of this year's 3-year strategic plan, to change the word enabling to empowering. Empowering all students to succeed in an ever-changing world, and so would ask for your consideration that upon adoption of the strategic plan, or consideration of adoption later in the meeting agenda, that you consider that we change that. That is something, at least in my 7 years here, that has been asked to be considered, and we felt like this was the right time to bring that up, and like the change from enabling to empowering as a more kind of proactive word in terms of what we hope to see from our graduates as they go out after they're done here at Watertown. They finish at the high school. So I would also say to the board that would come at some cost with that change. Just for example, I brought as my prop, but this is a folder that we use in the district. We use it for job fairs, something like that. But we do have our current mission statement on various places throughout the district that we would look at, and probably would come up in places that we weren't even thinking of. But as we would proceed then to update that, if you would approve that change. So that was the first thing I'd like to point out, and then just a few highlights from each of the subcategories. But the first category, we had 5 goal areas. The first one being school safety and community. But a couple of highlights there. We are currently working on an update to our school safety handbook, looking at evacuation drills, reunification drills, some of that. Another one is a change in name on here. So if you see the name MANT, M-A-N-D-T, that has previously been referred to as CPI. So those are a couple of highlights, big ones there. Under the school safety area. Then we have the fiscal health and facilities. But a couple of things there to study are salary and benefits, and just take a good look at that. Obviously, it becomes more and more competitive in terms of how we stack up when it comes to hiring and replacing people and trying to stay ahead of especially area schools, but to also remain competitive amongst our large school peers. And then a continual monitoring of our class sizes, and then the building usage that goes into that piece as well. That was under fiscal health. And then with the buildings, as we transition out of Roosevelt, what that building could become. We have some possibilities in the works, but nothing set in stone on that. And then also you mentioned the phase 2, Gene, but also then what becomes of the current Watertown Stadium and that site. Those are big pieces in that fiscal health. The third category is marketing, communication, and outreach. That is in reference to just our communication efforts, looking at both internal and external communication. What do we have in terms of a social media presence, and then what kinds of positions do we have to help deal with that? You'll see later on in the action items under personnel the possibility of some extra duty positions related to our communication efforts. And then also last year we had a contract with Odney to utilize their services with regards to communication. The staff member from Odney dedicated to that was Jen Bender. She no longer works for Odney and would be an independent contractor. That also is under for consideration to pay for her services to help us with this. But the web content creator, which I will speak to when we get to that, is a direct result of some of these efforts to examine our communication both internally and externally, and then also looking at being more responsive with just what needs to be out there in terms of whether it's monthly, daily, some sort of things. And another piece of that is to consider a joint calendar or one combined district calendar. That has been a request, and figuring out how we will do that with regards to just having all events in one place and whether it's accessible for all buildings. And then our last two areas, one of them is student success, the other staff success. On the student success side, to look for data to inform our curriculum decisions, continually looking at like the data retreats we have, how we utilize that, and then also making our programming responsive to the numbers. So just studying how many people we have. So for example, like in our extracurricular areas, are there extracurricular areas that maybe the numbers are lower, so what does that mean? Or are there things we need to add or change up with that? And then maintaining our one-to-one integration of technology, and that's a big piece in our student support. And then under staff success and support, to look at continue looking at our mentoring program. A piece of that would be, and it relates back to that, the hiring and the fiscal health piece, but looking at our benefit offerings as far as our staff goes, and then also looking at the most successful ways for PD. Whether we've tried some things lately with, for example, this last year we had an AI training where we had part of the PD was work on your own, work through some modules, and then that led up to an early dismissal where we actually had then in-person delivery of content. And so are those successful? How do those work? And then finally, because of the growing numbers of ESL or ELL learners in our school district, making sure that our staff are trained so that they can work best with those students who English is their second language. Those are some of the highlights, but obviously that it's a fairly thick plan, so I will stand by for questions during this time and then ask for your consideration of approval on both the mission statement change and the strategic plan later on in the meeting.
Could we add one page of a glossary for acronyms?
Yeah, one of the reasons why we didn't is
Please.
some advice we had gotten to is to at least the first time they're referred to type out the acronym, and then so at least you see it the first time and then can identify it by the acronym later.
Thank you. Somebody gets bonus points too for the word synchronous.
Yes, that's in the
The $20
that's in
word.
the PD. Yes.
There's some subsets to this too. Tech skills. One of the groups I was in, we talked about test taking on iPads and computers and how you manipulate a screen and the keyboard to take tests, because many of our tests are electronic. And then we have a math update coming, right, on the new curriculum. Student attendance, maybe we could have an update as part of this for how well the 3 people we hired.
Yes, I think that's of value here. When we get done with summer school, we should be able to look at that a little bit, because our family support specialists are still helping us this month with summer school, so we'll have a little better idea once that all wraps up.
And then social studies, of course, is in for a big update, K-12. Classes we could add, lengthen, strengthen, etc. There's a lot to think about there. Alt Ed, did I see something about professional development building in here?
Yes, under finance.
Yes, that's under the
Yep,
fiscal,
PDC.
yes. Looking at possibilities with the alt ed programming we have over there, and whether that structure actually meets the needs and allows us to, respond to whether that's the right amount of, right now, that program is based off space versus need, and so evaluating the PDC is a part of that.
Okay. Class sizes. That's something we can talk about too. It's an ongoing issue. I mean, I could take a marker and go to the board here, spend 4 minutes and explain it all, but I won't. Anybody else?
I would close with my thanks. We had a great participation. We had folks who helped via survey. We had many folks who came in person, so we had representatives from our school board at various times, and all of them in their own individual goals champion groups, but then also we had our administrators, we had our staff, and then we had community and parents involved in this, and so we couldn't have done it without that help. And then of course a big thank you to RVM Consulting, which is Rick Melmer and Lindsay Kimber were the two consultants who came in and helped facilitate all this, and then Lindsay was actually putting the finishing touches on this up until probably about noon on Friday. So we're ready to go, but we also want to make sure we give it one last look through before it goes live to the public and for their purview. So
I see a typo. It's on student success, prepare students for secondary opportunities. Step 2 should be pre-ACT, I think.
Which one did you say?
This one.
What page?
Prepare. She doesn't have. She got the early draft. Oh.
You got page numbers?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that copy.
Yeah.
Pre-ACT, ACT, and then the PSAT, which determines national merit.
So add the
Yeah.
pre-ACT.
Pre-ACT is sophomores.
Yes.
And then PSAT for national merit. At least that's the ones I can think of.
I just want to concur with Dr. Danielson said and thank the people who came and gave up a fair amount of time to spend with us working on this.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the update. We will move into our first reading of the policy GBED.
Yes. Let me get my computer back from sleep. GBED is our tobacco-free district policy, and two notable changes. One of them is, and I don't know if Tiffany's still on, but is adding two. Currently, this is for the K-12 district buildings only, but adding Lake Area Technical College and their school grounds and vehicles, all of that. And then we added the word and nicotine next in between pipes and vapor products, and that is to help spell out further with some of the recent innovations in products for tobacco. And so I know you had a possible.
Just my one comment, and I kind of pondered on it a bit this afternoon. Worked in tobacco cessation and control, so I may be biased in this for about 15 years. But one thing that we encourage people to do when they're adopting tobacco-free policies like this is to include language that is supportive of individuals who are utilizing nicotine replacement therapies as a tool to quit. So we would look to maybe put some language that would be supportive of a nicotine product, like we're saying, this would not apply to a FDA-approved nicotine replacement therapy. So if you were a tobacco user and you were in the building using a patch, gum, or lozenge, that you would not be reprimanded for using that product, because we want to support your quit, but by definition that would technically fall under this right now. So just to put that disclaimer of language in the policy of does not apply to those products. So. And then I think the other thing I was just thinking about with this policy too would just be to make sure, like any policies are, that this is reflective of whatever is communicated out with Lake Area and their student handbook and staff handbook, just because this one might be met with a little bit of pushback just because it is very new and different, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm thrilled. This is kind of a long time coming with this policy, so very positive change.
Thank you for the comments.
And this would go on the website for public comment, and then we would look at the language change as suggested and bring it back for a second reading in July.
We'll move into the action items for 14.4 and start with the approval of the bills. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Motion by Laura.
Second.
Second by Rossman. Questions, comments on the bills? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Bills have been approved. We'll move to personnel and start with the resignations of 6.2.1.
Yeah, before you is a list of resignations on the K-12 side, both certified, classified, and some extra duty resignations. The extra duty would be pending a suitable replacement is found, but would recommend your approval of these.
Is there a motion to approve the resignations?
I'll approve the resignations as listed.
Motion by Rossman.
Second.
Second by Laura. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to item 6.2.2.
Then a long list of contract recommendations and addendums.
Fruit fly.
Going from new teacher academy hours, curriculum work, trainings, mentor programs, and extra duties that were added to contracts, but would recommend your approval of those that are presented.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve contract recommendations and addendums.
Okay, we've got a motion by Laura. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rossman. Any questions or comments?
Yes. Mr. Barrios and administrators, would you please consider, we lost 2 Spanish teachers, would you please consider looking at the class sizes for those, particularly Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. Those are huge classes, and we've actually needed 4.5 Spanish teachers, and now that I'm not sure the status of German anymore, we're down to 1 language basically.
Yep.
So are those
We've
numbers?
not been able to find a German teacher. We still are short on Spanish teachers. We've been trying to explore options of maybe partnering with a university to help cover some of those, but not able to take the number of students that we're looking to have. So yeah, we're going to need to be mindful of how many students we have in there, and then also just start to promote other electives that we have as well. So we can use Spanish teachers, yes, or German.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if another language is feasible, possible. But the Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 classes are huge. They're like 29, 30. That's a horrible number for beginning language classes. And we've needed at least another half time for a long time. 4.5. Just something to think about, as well as the other class sizes. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's been approved. Move to item 6.2.3 with the authority to hire.
Yes, I referenced this in my my presentation on the strategic plan, but this authority to hire would add a position called a web content creator at each of our 7 buildings. They would be considered under the co-curricular salary schedule portion of the master contract. Because this is occurring like we've already approved the negotiated agreement for the upcoming school year. We did work with WEA, our Watertown Education Association, on a memorandum of understanding to consider these positions for a year, with the idea that if successful, we would continue add them to the master contract. But the basic premise behind this is that we would have 1 staff member at each building who would then be responsible for posting social media content to each of the platforms. They would be given training, working with that's where the Gen Bender position would come in, and work on promoting all the good things going on at each building. And the amounts are based off of more of a per student, because the elementaries are smaller than the 5 through 8 buildings, and then the high school, you've got kind of that stair step up in student enrollment size at each of the buildings. And so you would have less posts necessarily required to be worried about, and that was the kind of the difference in the pay differential there per building. So would ask for your consideration, and then we would set out to advertise for them, hopefully have them in position prior to August 1st, so that then we could have training and start with some of those back to school postings, getting that out onto our social media platforms for the school district.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve authority to hire.
Motion by Laura.
Second.
Second by Rossman. A comment that just thought that came to my mind is if we've got 7 of these positions that we're creating, effectively we're giving 7 people within the district access to social media pages, which is significant. And if someone loses a phone or someone decides to go rogue, it is a little bit of a concern. So I guess I would just preface my approval on this to be mindful of that, of how we could combat that or be protective of the reputation that
Yes.
is on the line.
Yeah, I think, when we talk about, there will have to be an application process for one thing, so that each building principal, the other piece, as we've kind of modeled this after some other districts, the principal is also like a sign off on posts that go out. So there's a piece there where anything that goes out wouldn't have to be, but obviously you're talking about like some of the phone things, like if I lose my phone and somebody gets a hold of it, that's a whole different thing. But tech would have to be involved too, in terms of access to the accounts, shutting them off if they,
Yeah, we also, if they put some of this on their phones, we have the ability to work with K-12 in Madison and shut that down until the phones recovered and turn stuff back on.
And could they?
So we have some safeguards built in
Okay.
so that everything has to be approved.
Yeah.
And
I know
You can still
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the worst case
Yeah.
scenario is pretty bad.
But as staff, just like students do staff sign agreements on the use
yes,
of
they do.
technology.
There
so
could
like,
be, you know, obviously there
there
could be
could be recourse,
repercussions
yeah.
for a staff member if some of the wayward things happen.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that happening, but you have to think, like you said, my mind was going to that too. The risk, it's in someone else's hands. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a little bit, I mean, you know, as we look at from a personnel standpoint, it's a little bit of a distributed model versus hiring, say, one communication director who's responsible for all the postings. You know, trying this kind of in a stair-step model maybe to working into a full-time.
And the Facebook posting wouldn't be through their account on the school's Facebook pages. It would be through Apogee, which is our website. So I've got those connected, but they can't post, they make the post, but the principal or Dr. Danielson or myself has to approve the post.
There's a secondary
Yes.
approval process.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, that makes
So
sense.
it's actually through ThrillShare, which
Okay.
is our
Okay.
product tied to our website. So that's like the program that when we make a call in school or send out a text message,
Perfect.
some of that. So it's
We try to protect as much as we can.
Yeah.
It's gonna work well, but most don't.
You should have just said that to begin with.
Well,
No,
I-
feel
yeah,
much
I-
better after that statement.
glad Deb was here to clarify that.
Just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
Very much in favor of this model, for sure. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We will move along to property with consideration of a charter bus service bid.
Yeah, it is recommended to approve the bid received from Dunewald Transportation. This was our sole bid received, and this is for a 3-year contract under the terms and conditions noted within the contract. The rate for the 24-25 school year is noted at $4 per mile, with notation that the per mile will increase 3% on August 1 of 2026.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to the authorization of the notice of appointment for the school board election.
Yes, action is needed for the appointment of the school board election workers for the election to be held on June 18th of 2024.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move authorization of the appointment of the school board election as presented.
We've got a motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Iverson. I will just say I am very proud of the contributions of Lore and Iverson. It's been a privilege serving with you, and best of luck to all those coming up at the election. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to item 6.4 with the consideration of the adoption of the strategic plan.
Yes, as presented, this strategic plan would be, we've looked at a 3-year time period, so from the fall of 2024 through the spring of 2027, with kind of a district dashboard to keep the board and public updated as we are moved through the 3-year time period.
Is there a motion to approve?
I think, and also could we state that, sorry, I should have said that before, but have the motion, but also change the mission
Is there a motion
approval
to?
with
Yes.
the word change on the.
We'll seek a motion to approve the strategic plan with the changing of the mission statement, please.
I will make a motion to approve or consider adopting strategic plan with the mission statement change.
We have a motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments?
I just like the change proposed for that mission statement. That one word changing is very powerful.
Yeah.
I never thought about that, so I appreciate whoever brought that forward.
Yeah, great change. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. And we'll move to the consideration of the supplemental budget.
Thank you. The proposed supplemental budget provides modifications to the 23-24 budget to accommodate the increased expenditure allocations and offsets through identified revenue supports. The budget modifications total $4.9 million, bringing the budget operation to $141 million. In the general fund operation, the increase in expenditure allocations is to accommodate the GASB reporting standards of $445,000. This transaction accounts for the activity maintained in the custodial accounts and is a requirement to year-end financials. Additional entries of $144,600 are to accommodate an increase to summer school activity as offset through the American Rescue Planning, state aid supports for students attending Northeast Technical High School, and Title III funding as awarded by the state. Use of cash on hand accommodates $45,215 of expenditures. Capital outlay received $200,000 in contributions relating to the video board at the new athletic complex. Increased expenditures are seen in the textbook line item to accommodate math curriculum, as well as a contribution of $5,000 towards the piano in the D.D. Miller. The enterprise funds of K-12 nutrition services, concessions, driver's ed, LATC daycare, bookstore, and LATC nutrition services are all to receive expenditure allocations as a direct requirement of governmental accounting standards, GASB 68 to support a non-cash expenditure identifiable as enterprise allocation to support SDRS pension-related liabilities. These expenditures are offset with the use of cash on hand, with notation that this supplement to the budget does not directly affect cash on hand as it is a non-cash expenditure. Lake Area Technical College to increase by just over $1 million, $275,000 for custodial fund supports, $138,000 for adjunct salary and benefits increased, $384,000 for purchase services across programs, and $93,275 in equipment under the Perkins Grant and in support of corporate education. There's also $189,500 in supplies across programs. The Employee Benefit Trust anticipates an increase of $3 million to accommodate claims and estimated claims to be reported at fiscal year end. I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. Thank you very much. We will move to item 6.6 with the consideration of the EAP program recommendation.
This spring we sent out for a request for proposals for our employee assistance program. We did receive 4 proposals back: Firefly Counseling, HSA, Aspen Counseling, and Bridgeway Counseling. We are recommending Firefly Counseling at a rate of $85 per hour for those sessions. So we would recommend your approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the employee assistance program as presented for Firefly.
Motion by Moulton,
Second.
second by Iverson. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. We'll move to item 6.7 with the approval of the Special Ed Comprehensive Plan.
Yes, this is an annual authorization or approval for our special education comprehensive plan. You will be getting the consolidated application, which identifies Title I next month. And Dr. Bollinger's on hand if you have any questions, but this essentially outlines our special education program and that we are meeting the requirements of the federal and state, or excuse me, this is federal, so.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Moulton. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved. Move to the open enrollment requests.
Yes, we have one open enrollment for your consideration and recommend approval.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the open enrollment.
Motion by Lohr.
Second.
Second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's been approved. Welcome to the district. We'll move to the 132810s.
We also have 113-2810 for your consideration, recommend approval for that.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 113-2810.
We've got a motion by Rossman,
Second.
And a second by Laura. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's been approved as well. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Danielson.
Yes, it got noted in one of the action items, but we do have a school board election on June 18th. Those polls are open from 7 to 7, and absentee voting has been active since June 3rd and will continue through the end of the business hours on June 17th. So feel free to stop in when you're able there, but polls will close at 7 p.m. on June 18th. And then this is about as hot off the press as I can get for you, a note being passed to me during the board meeting. But we have followed our very own Lauren Geyer this year as she's made her way through the National Merit Scholarship process. And we received word this evening that Lauren has succeeded and is a National Merit Scholarship recipient. So we are excited about that. I believe the public release of that, besides, I know there's many watchers tonight of this and my announcement, but the more widespread announcement might take place here soon. So we are excited for Lauren and congratulations to her. So let's give her a
Very cool. Anything else, Dr. Danielson? Okay. All right, well then we will seek.
I should make a note, just a reminder to the public as well. Typically our board meetings are the second Monday of the month. Because of where the 4th of July falls, our budget hearing and then July board meeting will be on Thursday, July 11th. So if people see that published or hear July 11th, that is not a typo. That is actually on that Thursday rather than the second Monday, which would be July 8th. So just for public reminder. So there you go. Now I promise I'm
All good. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Whoa.
Oh,
Report to the board. 7.2, point of order.
so
Sir.
noted. Go ahead, Jean.
State board, I'm on the State Board of Education. And science standards were just approved. They're not actually too different than the previous version. And too late, we received something really interesting. It's called the Franklin Standards. It's from the National Association of Scholars. And these standards are comprehensive, impressive, rigorous. I can email where you can actually look at those to all board members or anybody that's interested. I gave Mr. Berrios already a pre-copy, but they're coming out in June. So they came out too late to actually change any of the standards that we approved, but they are just phenomenal. And they're actually named after Ben Franklin. And they give a nice intro as to how they came up with all these. It's page after page, great detail. And I would hope that we would implement some of the ideas in there locally. Because I noticed that came up as a question at one of the forums about STEM education. So I'll email that to you all. Okay, I'm done.
Is there anyone else that would like to report to the board? Superintendent? Okay. Well, with that, we'll seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion by Iverson.
Second.
Second by Moulton. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.